In previous episodes, I've talked about toddler clocks or light systems that can be an incredibly effective tool for helping children know when it's okay to get up in the morning, out of bed, leave the room, etc. Recently, I've had several parents ask me if it's okay to allow their child to get up and play with the lights on before the toddler clock turns green, as long as they stay in their room. This is a question I'm going to answer today. If you have a child over the age of 2 years old and you currently use or plan to use a toddler clock or light system, this episode is for you. Hi, I'm Allison, Egidi, a pediatric sleep and wellness coach and a mom of two. I love to help parents find solutions. This is How Long Till Bedtime. If you listened to episode 46, you know that I think every child 2 years and older should have a toddler clock or light system that helps them know when it's time to be staying in bed and resting or sleeping, and then when it's time to get up in the morning. And in that episode, I explained how important it is to be consistent with the rule of the light. But what I often hear from parents is that they want to set the light for the designated wake time that they, the parents, want, but their child often naturally wakes earlier, could be 30 plus minutes earlier than the designated wake time. And then it becomes a struggle for the child to resist the urge to leave their room. So, of course, the logical solution that many parents have, and that is frequently recommended on the internet, is to tell their child that yes, they need to stay in their room until their sleep light turns green, but if they're up beforehand, they could get up and play in their room, turn on the lights, hang out as long as they stay in their room. In theory, this can work. It can allow your child to hang out, not be overly bored, and allow you to have that time in the morning to sleep, work out, start your day. In theory, everyone can win. Particularly, I'd say if the light system you're using has the option for the light to turn one color when it's okay to get up and play, and then to turn green when it's okay to leave the room. All that to be said, I don't typically recommend this approach, and today I want to share why. If your child is a limit tester or someone who, if given an inch, will take a mile, this approach of allowing them to get up and play prior to that designated green light can really open a can of worms. So let's talk through a hypothetical situation. Let's say that you have the light set to turn orange, indicating it's time to play at 6:15 a.m., and then the light will turn green to leave the room at 6:45 or 7 a.m. If your child realizes that you are serious about holding the structure around staying in the room until the light turns green, but otherwise you're going to kind of just let them be as long as they stay in the room, and they know that they could get up and play, that's an option on the table, the chance of your child having times or starting to consistently wake earlier than 6:15 and to get up and to turn on lights and to start playing before the light turns orange at 6:15 is going to be significantly higher. I've worked with parents who suddenly have a child waking at 4:30 in the morning, turning on the lights in their room and starting to play or putz around. And sometimes the parents are none the wiser because they're sleeping, or they ignore it for a bit because they're just grateful that their child is following the rule of the green light. And then the wheels can start to really come off. And if you don't have a light system that has the ability to have that play light that indicates when it'd be okay to get up and play, I would argue that it's really unreasonable to expect a young child to wake up and realize if it's a appropriate, realistic time to get up and play, or if it's still the middle of the night. So if you don't have a light that has those multiple light options, I definitely don't recommend the situation of encouraging play or allowing play in the morning. In either scenario, however, there is a risk that your child gets up to play when they should be going back to sleep. And then they're not going to get their ideal amount of sleep, which in turn, once your child becomes overtired, can actually result in more bedtime resistance and more middle of the night wakings and just general sleep struggles. I would say that this is definitely one of those situations where you know your child best. You likely know or have an inkling as to whether or not your child can handle that responsibility of waiting for the play light to come on before getting up and playing, and then waiting for the green light. While I just stuck to the approach of my children needed to sleep or rest until their light turned green, or one of my girls had turned yellow, I'll say that I have one child who certainly could have handled that concept or responsibility of waiting to play and then playing until the light turned green. But my other child, who actually was my child more prone to early wake-ups, would not have been able to resist the urge to get up even earlier to play. I could tell you with 99.9% certainty, she would have had mornings where she was up at 4:30 playing until her light told her she could leave the room. So if you're one of those parents who's already tried to test this out, the idea of playing before the green light, and it's resulting in your child getting up too early, please know that you can change course. Have a simple conversation with your child. Let them know that you've noticed they are getting up too early to play and that the plan around the light needs to change a bit. So for example, you can say, I see you're having a hard time waiting for the light to turn orange before you start playing. I totally get that, because if I had cool toys and books in my room like you have in your room, I'd probably want to get up and play with them too. But when you do that, that means that you're not getting enough sleep. And it's my job as your parent to make sure you get the sleep you need to be healthy and happy. So starting tonight, you need to keep the lights off and just rest until your light turns green. We're not going to use the orange light anymore. And I know that this is going to be different. And if you're having a hard time remembering to keep the lights off, the good news is that I can help you by putting a helper cover over your light switch. So this is where we may need to do some things to help our child adjust to the new structure, which might mean making it so they can't actually turn the lights on or removing their cool toys from the room. If you do that, I always say don't do it secretively, and definitely let them know where the toys will be. As always, it's important to share that we're making a change ahead of time. We don't want to surprise our kids. And then it's important to hold space for our children's frustration or their big feelings about these changes that they may not love. And you totally can put the helper cover on these light switches so that we don't have to battle over them. I'll link to two that I like in the show notes, one for a typical switch and one for one of those flat rocker switches. I think that's what they call them. All right, I hope this was helpful for those of you who've had the idea of letting your kids play in their room in the morning or have tested it out and are finding that it's not going well. You can always make a change. All right, see you back here next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to How Long Till Bedtime. To learn how we can work together to improve your child's sleep, please visit sleepandwellnesscoach.com.